And as far as like society, like you said, like what do I think is wrong with it today? Men are pussies. Yeah, so we were watching a video from, I'd seen this guy that I can't remember his name now, but he started a new like a pickup channel, and that, you know, I like to look at some of the infields on there, and he had this one infield where I think he was reviewing some other guy, right? And it was like, okay, it showed this scene, this infield where this guy literally picked up this girl with her boyfriend, like, and started making out with her right there. And the boyfriend really didn't do anything. He tried to like get her away, and then the guy came back, and then he carried off the girl. And my friend was like, that's fake. And I was like, why do you think it's fake? And he's like, because no guy would stand there while some guy's making out with his girlfriend and not do anything or say anything. And I was like, dude, you don't realize how much of these men are today. Like,
oh, I know.
I'm like, majority of men would stand there, right? In fact, one of the things I was telling them too, I was like, when I have a coaching client and I see them in person, if I do the in-person coaching, the first thing I do is I shove them. And then I shove them again. And then I shove them again. And I see how long do I shove them and keep shoving them harder until they either push back or stop or say, stop it, dude. What the fuck? Right? Like,
how many pushes have you gotten in?
Man, I have gotten in like to the point where like 15 pushes, and then they apologize to me because they're trying to figure out what they did wrong. And I'm like, you know, this
is pretty gangster, John.
But it shows you like the state of what it is, and you really can find that on Twitter, where you see these guys that their Twitter profile has in their pronouns and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, men there's so few men. Like, men have become complete pussies. They're afraid to say whatever they want to say, to do anything, and you know, again, you go out even just to a nightclub, right? And it's like, you know, and when I take guys out, you know, I'm doing coaching, I'm like, I just want you to observe, like I know that you think that whatever, you know, you don't know what you're doing, and that's fine, but I just want you to just look around, okay, and see that you are one of the only guys, regardless of what your skill level is, that has balls in this room. Because you look at all these other guys standing around drinks, they're not going to go and talk to any girls today. They're just going to stand there and hope that some magical princess comes up and is like, wow, you're really hot, like with your drink over there. I just had to come and talk to you, you know, like you're the one who has balls, right? We're the ones who have balls. And so I don't know, I think that's kind of just, and the message, the narrative that society puts out is that masculinity is toxic, right? That it's one of the egalitarian, right? The system, which is egalitarian. You know, men are hierarchical, women are egalitarian, and so this egalitarian message is put out that we're all equal, we're all of the same value, that the differences between men and women are only societal, right? All of this is complete, which pussifies men, and what they don't realize is that, you know, in the meantime, while women and feminists are saying all of these things, the best-selling book of all time, I think, of novel is 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hold on a second here. Like, yeah, because, you know, the social justice warriors and the feminists always, you know, again, they both hate me, both sides, but they get pissed at me, and I'm like, hey, just tell me, explain to me. I'm fine. Whatever you say is fine, but just explain to me why 50 Shades of Grey is like the best-selling novel of all time. If you can explain that, then maybe I'll come over to your side. But explain that, because that your narrative, what you're saying and what you're doing are two different things, right? Because who's buying that book? It's not guys that are buying that book. Because women want a man, and they want a dominant man, and they want a man to tell them what to do, and to not ask for permission, and not to look to society and what's right. They want a man to do what he believes is right for everyone else.
In Asia, the family unit is so important. It is crucial.
Exactly.
Like, it's so crucial compared to America. It's like, you know, to be honest with you, John, in America, as a man, I feel like men are treated as second-class citizens. It's like you're like you're just at fault because you're a man, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say that's true. I mean, look at today, right? Like, especially, again, you know, I have my foot in the tech world. That's where I got canceled, right? And it was mainly, when I look at it, that viewpoint is especially magnified there, where, and I've said it on record on Twitter. I said that, the worst possible position that you could be on is a man, is a white male, right? Because like you have such disadvantages. You're treated like just the whole concepts of of white what do they call it, privilege, and all this kind of that's you're treated automatically as if you did something wrong, or that you don't deserve your position. And that's pretty up right now. So today, especially, again, you look at today, like take for example, one of the black pill and the incel communities, right, that we have here. Those guys, to some degree, I have some empathy for those guys, because you look at it and they're mostly composed of white men in their 20s, or it's not all white men, but let's just say young men in their 20s. And they're kind of, they're like, okay, so, you and I know that hypergamy is real, and it's only becoming worse, right? In the sense that because of the digital age and Twitter, or not Twitter, but more Instagram and Tinder and all that, the 90% of women want the top 10% of guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're all fighting for that, right? If you're in the top 10% of guys, you're going to be able to do pretty damn good. You're going to have right? But if you're not in that top 10% of guys and you can't figure it out, and society is telling you you're a piece of shit, and you believe the sort of feminist narrative, you're definitely not going to get there. And you're kind of fucked. Like you're kind of fucked in the sense that you can't even get a date or girlfriend. Like you're probably not going to have sex, right? Like think about it. Like you're 20 years old. Like your prospects of ever having sex in your life, like consensual, is very, very small. Okay. You got a college degree, but you're not going to get a fucking job just because you got a college degree. You're in debt, or maybe you didn't even get a college degree, but it sucks for you. Society says you're a fucking piece of shit just because you're a man.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're not going to have a family. It's not like in the 50s. Like you're not going to have a family and some kids and all of that. You can't even be the beta like guy. You can't even be that guy, right? So these guys are in, I think to be a young man today without like figuring out how to get in the top 20 or top 10% of men, you're kind of, and society has kind of you. I agree with that. I don't agree that the response of having the mindset and having rage about it, I think that the response should be, well, then I'm going to be in the top 10%. I'm going to fucking figure this out, or I'm going to go down trying. That's my attitude towards it. But yeah, to be a young man today in America is to be the lowest of lows. Like you have no intrinsic value. Like, if you're a 23-year-old girl, you can have whatever the fuck you want in the world.
Because a lot of women in America, right, they think, because they really don't understand men. They think that they have value just because a man wants to have sex with them. But what they don't realize is that we'll pretty much anything. But the real value you have as a woman is if a man wants to keep you, if he wants to keep you around. That's when you're like, okay, now I'm a winner. Because guys will look, six her up, I'd do it. Six her up, I'd do it. But would I keep her? Would I introduce her to my mom? Would I be seen? I take it as a privilege to be seen with me in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're just some scallywag off of Tinder and I'm bringing you over to my place, nobody knows about it, that's one thing. But what do you don't you think that there's going to be a long-term repercussion for all these chicks that are like going after the 10%? What do you think about that, just in general?
Yeah, there's a few things to that. One is obviously the wall, right? And it's clear, like, and I've been in this debate with some of the guys from the black pill community. It's funny. I get into debates with all the, because
who also have no camera. They just hide behind some kind of icon, which you know what they look like if they do that.
Well, it's because these destructive philosophies. This is what I'm fighting against, right? Because I want, when guys search on YouTube and they type in or black pill. I want them to find me instead of what they're looking for, because I'm going to give them a philosophy that's going to teach them how to live better lives and empower themselves and become men, as opposed to
what's your philosophy like versus theirs?
My philosophy is one of Stoic philosophy, right? It is basically that it doesn't matter what happens outside of you. You have the responsibility. You have the ability to make your choices and decisions in life and take responsibility for that. And if you are living your life such that you are depending on external circumstances and other people in order for your happiness and your fulfillment in life, well, because that's a random roll of the dice. So you have to learn how to build yourself mentally to become strong enough to become the kind of man that can withstand whatever the is thrown at you, and to be happy and content in just pursuing your purpose in life for your reasons, to make meaning out of life where there is no meaning. So that's really the philosophy that I'm teaching these guys, and that you can be whatever, I think a lot of these other philosophies are like, oh, you're fucked. And my answer is no, you're not fucked. Like you there's no reason why you cannot be the top, or that you cannot win this game. You just have to grind. You have to work to do it.
But a lot of guys they're afraid, or they just don't want to grind. They don't want to feel discomfort. They don't want to do it. For me, that's just another day in the park. But I was telling some people like, oh my God, you're so tough and you're so this, you're that. I'm like, dude, no, you guys have to learn to quite honestly suffer and endure, because the reality of life is, in America, dude, especially in America, we live in abundance. There's jobs everywhere in America. You could go become a power lineman. You could go learn how to weld. You could learn how to do HVAC. You could do work. I mean, it's, these jobs are not glamorous or whatever, but at the end of the day, within 18 months, you're making $100,000. Now, $100,000 a year, not a lot of money, but not bad living either.
People don't like to grind. They don't like, one of the things I always tell, people in my Bulldog membership is I tell them, hey, look, 5 years, that's the minimum. If you want to be great at anything, you need to commit to 5 years. Anything you can't commit to 5 years to, you might as well not even do it, because that's what it takes. You want to build a business, you want to get a good physique, you want to get good with women, all of those things are going to take 5 years, like commitment. And maybe you'll do it faster, but if you're not willing to commit to grind it out for 5 years, you don't have what it takes. So just off, like don't even do it.